On Sunday, the riders will roll out of here for 166.8 kilometres of the final stage of the Tour of Britain. Today we're going to do a full lap of the course to see what lies in store and take in some of the most iconic climbs of South Wales.
Over the course of 7 stages, we've been entertained by the sight of the cream of the British domestic cycling talent, going elbow to elbow with the finest World Tour teams. This Sunday we'll see the 8th and final stage, which will determine the result of this year's Tour of Britain. There may not be any Ribble representation in the peloton for the first time in several years, but that doesn't stop me, Joe Laverick, a Ribble Collective rider, from checking out the course and seeing what's in store for the riders. But come Sunday morning, it will set the scene for a 166.8km showdown as the riders roll out, leaving the industrial skyline of the steel town behind them before heading southbound for the coastal town of Porthcawl. This quintessential British seaside town is also home to the world's largest Elvis Presley festival, which is held every September. We're expecting to see equally large crowds lining the promenade as the race flies by come Sunday. From Porthcawl, the riders snake inland towards Bridgend and then head back to the coast towards the Ogmore estuary. They'll roll past the Norman remains of Ogmore Castle and Europe's second largest natural sand dunes at Merthyr Mawr 2. Devon will be just visible in the distance as the riders press on southwards, hugging the coastline before heading inland to the climbs that await them. The town of Cowbridge will see the riders contest an intermediate sprint, and from here the route heads north into the Rhondda Valley. Until this point the terrain has remained pretty flat, but this is where the real climbing action begins. It's fair to say that the British Alps is not blessed with the switchback climbs of the Alps or Pyrenees, and the TV commentators are even choosing to coin the phrase "King of the Hills" rather than mountains for this year's race, perhaps due to it being a relatively flat affair. But the 8th and final stage will feature the most climbing of the race thus far, making it the clean stage. It includes 3 stages featured in the popular book 100 Greatest Cycling Climbs written by Simon Warren: the Bulch, the Rhegos and Bryn Dubh. After speeding through the Rhondda Valley, the riders will be met by the dramatic face of the Bulk Mountain. At 5.8 kilometers in length and summiting at 524 meters of altitude, it may not be a Ventoux or a Tourmalet, but the hairpin turn almost has an alpine feel to it. Unlikely to cause any major splits in the field, it's past the ice cream van and inquisitive sheep into the town of Treorchy. Once the bulk is disposed of, the peloton will face their most testing ascent so far, the Rhegos. The 5.6km climb is more of a drag and will likely see the pros stick to their big ring, but the scenery is spectacular, and it's the final warm-up before the serious climbing test begins. Here the riders will have reached the most northerly tip of today's stage, just on the cusp of the southern boundary of the Brecon Beacon National Park, an area that has played host to many a Tour of Britain, or as it was previously known, the Milk Race, and equally, a territory that has been home to many a Ribble bike of yesteryear, as can be seen in this shot from the Ribble archives of the Ribble team captured during stage 10 of the 1970 Milk Race. Heading south away from the Brecon Beacons again, the riders reach Bryn Dubh. Bryn Dubh starts steep, with maximum gradients of 22% through the residential area before the right-hand turn where it starts to flatten out. It's hard to say if we'll see attacks here given it's still so far to the finish, but expect to see some riders get tailed off the back, or some hopeful riders go off the front. It's the old adage, you certainly can't win the race here, but you can lose it. Just when the riders think the climbing is done, the final sting in the tail comes in the form of a double ascent of Caerphilly Mountain, with the gradients averaging 10.1% across its 1.3 kilometers. This climb is grueling, with 2 laps to deal with. Yes, 2. It's steep, it's hard, it's a finished circuit, more akin to a Belgian classic or an early season race in the Ardennes. It is in Caerphilly that the final general classification will be decided. Well, that concludes my Tour of Britain Stage 8 preview. I hope you enjoyed it. We thoroughly recommend heading over to Caerphilly on Sunday for what promises to be an exciting spectacle of bike racing.